Do not let your hearts be troubled. Believe in God. Believe also in me. In my Father's house are many rooms. I am going away to prepare a place for you. Thomas said, Lord, we do not know where you are going. How can we know the way? Jesus replied, I am the way and the truth and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. John 14, verse 1, 2, 5, and 6. Do not let your hearts be troubled. Those are the words Jesus spoke to his disciples on the eve of his crucifixion. They certainly had every reason to have troubled and distressed hearts. Like a dark tunnel with seemingly no light in sight, the path Christ was calling these disciples to walk would be filled with opposition and persecution. Jesus had just told them he was leaving. He had always been there by their side. But now, as they looked to the future, he would be physically absent from them. Hearing that Christ's physical presence will no longer be with them, the disciples' heart began to panic and fear. But at this very moment, understanding the pain of his disciples, Jesus said unto them, Do not let your hearts be troubled. How can disciples in the moment of pain, persecution, and the lack of Christ's physical presence not fall into the fear and become anxious? That's when Jesus gives the promise of future hope. Jesus spoke of a place. He said, In my Father's house are many rooms. I am going away to prepare a place for you. Jesus spoke of a resting place. It was a place where weary wanderers would find rest and peace. I am going away, said Jesus, to prepare a place in my Father's house, which we know as heaven, where you will find rest. Then Jesus added, Where I am, you may be also, that he will be with us. This place Jesus spoke of, the Father's heavenly house, will be filled with presence of Christ. There we will be with him, the promise of future hope. Then Jesus gives his disciples a promise. And if I go and prepare a place for you, I will come again and will take you to myself, that where I am, you may be also. No matter the trial, no matter who may oppose, no matter how heartbroken you may be, Jesus promised his disciples, I will come again and take you to be with me. Jesus gave his followers the promise of hope that he will come back for them, for us. Finally, Jesus spoke of a pathway. He said, You know the way to where I am going? To which Thomas replied, Lord, we do not know where you are going. How can we know the way? Now the true path opens up. Jesus replied, I am the way. In verse 1, we read, Jesus calling his disciples to believe in him, just as they believed in God. Now in verse 6, Jesus states, No one comes to the Father except through me. Jesus was going to a cross to die in the place of sinners, so that by his death and resurrection, the pathway would be cleared for those who would believe. A pathway to this place of rest and peace in the presence of Christ. The gates have been opened. Jesus assures them of his promise in verse 3 and 6. I will come again and take you myself on this pathway to the place of rest and peace, for I am the truth. And please, he asked them, discover that I am the life. The promise of future hope brings a present peace. So this Easter, no matter what you may be facing, do not let your hearts be troubled. Christ promised us to come for us, to take us to the place of rest and peace in his presence. He has made a pathway through his death and resurrection for us to spend eternity with him forever. Promise of future